Have you ever felt like you were walking this path of life completely alone? Like nobody really understood your grind, your struggles, or the weight you carry on your shoulders? Most people fear being alone. They see it as a weakness. They think, if nobody is with me, maybe I'm on the wrong path. But the truth, the greatest men and women in history walked alone. They rose alone, and in the end, they won alone. The Stoics knew this truth well. They understood that solitude wasn't a curse, it was a weapon. And if you stay with me until the end of this video, you'll discover exactly how to turn solitude into strength, how to rise above the noise of the crowd, and how to win. Not because the world carried you there, but because you carried yourself. This is the Stoic way. Walk alone, rise alone, win alone. Why walking alone is necessary. Let's begin with the first truth. Walking alone is necessary. We live in a world addicted to approval. Every day people wake up and their first thought is, what do others think of me? The Stoics flipped that question. They asked, what do I think of myself? Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, had every reason to seek validation. Millions of eyes were on him. And yet in his private journals, he reminded himself, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Walking alone means choosing your own values over the crowd's applause. Think of Epictetus, born a slave, beaten, controlled, stripped of freedom, no status, no approval, and yet, through his inner strength, he rose to become one of the most respected philosophers in history. How? By realizing that his dignity, his freedom, his strength came from within, not from the approval of the world. Don't fear being different. Fear being ordinary. The pain of solitude is your teacher. Now let's talk about something most people avoid, the pain of solitude. Loneliness hurts. We've all felt it. The silence can feel heavy. The empty room can feel like punishment. But to the Stoics, that pain was a teacher. When you're alone, the mask falls off. There's no one to impress, no crowd to perform for. Just you, your thoughts, your discipline. Seneca, in his writings, often reflected in solitude. He said, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving. The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. But he also warned, choose carefully, and when you cannot find good company, embrace solitude. Modern example? Think of the athlete who trains before the world wakes up. At 5 a.m., when the crowd sleeps, that pain of discipline builds greatness. Think of the entrepreneur grinding in silence before their first customer. Think of the writer pouring words onto a page that no one may read for years. The crowd only sees the end result, the medals, the success, the fame. What they don't see is the lonely road it took to get there. The crowd will celebrate later what it ignored today. Remember that rise alone. Rising alone is not about arrogance. It's about building a foundation that cannot be shaken by the crowd's opinion. A Stoic rises by discipline, by patience, by building day after day, without shortcuts. Imagine a tree. A tree that grows fast often has shallow roots, and when the storm comes, it falls. But a tree that grows slow, deep into the soil, no storm can destroy it. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, wars, plagues, and criticism from his own people. Yet he rose not through anger, but through composure. His strength wasn't built in comfort, it was built in hardship. So how do you rise in the Stoic way? Here are some practical steps. Journal daily. Write your thoughts. This is how Marcus Aurelius built his strength. His meditations were never meant for anyone else. Train your body. The Stoics believed a weak body weakens the mind. Discipline the flesh to discipline the spirit. Cut noise. The world is filled with gossip, distractions, endless scrolling. Detached silence feeds clarity. Practice voluntary hardship. Seneca would fast, sleep on hard surfaces, and live simply. Not because he had to, but to train his mind against fear of loss. The Stoic way to rise is simple. Embrace the hard path now, so nothing can break you later. Winning alone. Winning alone does not mean trophies, fame, or applause. To the Stoics, winning meant conquering yourself. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." You see, most people think success is external. A bigger house, more followers, louder applause. But the Stoics flipped that upside down. They said, what good is all of that if you cannot control your anger, your fear, your envy? Winning alone means you don't need external validation. Your peace cannot be stolen. Your success is measured by your values, not by likes, money, or the crowd's approval. Think about it. The world celebrated Marcus Aurelius as emperor, but to him, his real victories were the days he conquered his impulses, the days he resisted pride, the days he chose reason over rage. That's the ultimate victory, not the empire of Rome, but the empire of self. Stories that inspire. Let's bring this closer to life with some stories. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by power, wealth, armies, yet wrote to himself, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others when you do not refer your thoughts to some object of common utility." He had it all but chose simplicity. Epictetus, born in chains, yet freer than kings. Why? Because he refused to let his mind be enslaved. And in our modern world, the athlete training when no one claps, the creator posting videos for years before recognition, the entrepreneur mocked for their ideas until they succeed. Every story of greatness has one thing in common: a period of walking, rising, and winning, alone, living the Stoic way daily. So how can you live this today? How do you walk alone, rise alone, and win alone? Practical Stoic habits. Morning reflection. Ask yourself, what challenges will I face today? How can I meet them with calm, not anger? Daily discipline. Do one hard thing every day, something uncomfortable, something that builds you. Evening reflection. Before bed, ask, did I live according to my values today? Detach from applause. Create, build, share. Not for likes, but for legacy. Gratitude and solitude. When you are alone, remember, solitude is freedom. It means you're not chained to the crowd. If you practice these daily, you won't just study Stoicism, you'll live it. Walking alone doesn't mean you'll always be lonely. Rising alone doesn't mean no one will ever notice. Winning alone doesn't mean you'll never share your success. What it means is that your strength, your peace, your victory will never depend on the crowd. You will walk your path as a warrior of discipline. You will rise as a master of resilience. You will win, not because the world carried you, but because you carried yourself. That is the Stoic way. Walk alone, rise alone, win alone. If this video spoke to your soul, hit that like button, subscribe for more wisdom and motivation, and share this with someone who needs it. Because in a world where most people are desperate for approval, you'll rise above by walking alone.